Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming. It's something about sort of the Gaming Dragon today. I'm coming back at you with the Let's Play episode of Remake, Sissel's Pad. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm Chan, you were up, and let's go. Alright. Ginny, Hershel, and I gave him the most innocent smiles we could muster. The informant could only sigh before slipping off into the woods and disappearing into the thick fog. Mere moments after he was out of earshot, Ginny clambered into the driver's seat and fiddled with the police scanner eagerly. So, we're absolutely going to jump in and save Sissel if the opportunity pops up, right? Nobody here is actually going to just sit here and do nothing. Right. Obviously. A proud grin spread across Ginny's face as she turned up the volume on the police scanner, listening closely for any updates on the situation. Before long, the sharp, staticky voice of several police officers began pouring through the speaker. Suspects have stolen a small boat from a nearby boathouse. The hostage is still in harm's way. Suspects are threatening to kill if we approach. Do not shoot. I repeat, do not shoot. They are currently rowing away in the lake under a thick cover of fog. We're losing visual. Ginny and I exchanged perplexed looks. They're rowing into the lake on a boat? Won't that just corner them even more? I mean, the fog is pretty thick today. They're trying to lose the cops from their tail and dock somewhere far away from prying eyes. Well, there's one piece of good news. Sissel's still alive and kicking, and the thugs will be reluctant to kill him since he's their only bargaining chip here. Hershel grumbled and shook his head. For now. That could change if they manage to worm their way out of the police's chase. Once they escape, an uncooperative hostage like Sissel will just be dead weight to them, especially without a car. So we have to get him out of there before they somehow escape the lake area. That was easier said than done. A tense silence fell over us as we racked our brains for a solution. The police scanner buzzed with activity and as the officers barked more orders. I want men positioned at every major road leading in and out of Bradley Woods. We're not letting those two Lorelei slip out between our fingers. The thugs are probably expecting that. It's not like the cops can cover every inch of these woods. Those thugs will be rowing to a part of the lake that's far from any car-accessible road to avoid getting caught. The closest one would be that hiking trail near the abandoned shack. Hershel and Ginny turned towards me curiously. It's around where Sissel ran off when he was... I bit my tongue. Wait, that didn't happen this time around. Stumbling over my words, but I shook my head furiously to reorganize my thoughts. It's a decent hike away from any main road. Perfect for hiding if you're in a sulking mood and trying to avoid people. But it's just close enough to make a convenient getaway if you need it. And it's worth taking a look. The cops have this area of the lake covered anyway. If there's any chance I can help Sissel get home safe, I'm taking it. We all exchanged determined nods before slipping out of Morse's dinky car and slipping into the fog-obscured woods. Before leaving, I made sure to grab Bradley's flower vase and held it firmly against my chest. We're getting him home safely. After everything that's happened, things have to work out better this time. They have to. After we rushed off into the forest, I felt Bradley reach out a tiny skeletal hand from her vase and gave one of my fingers a comforting squeeze. By the time we arrived at the small trail near the shack, the fog had begun clearing up ever so slightly. However, it was still a tall order to see any more than 5 feet into the dense mist. The three of us tripped and stumbled over an assortment of tree roots and stumps until we heard the familiar sound of lake water lapping on the sandy shore. This should be it. Shh! Do you guys hear that? We froze and strained our ears. Through the endless white and gray of fog was the unmistakable sound of Sissel's angry shouting echoing across the lake's surface. While it was quite a distance away, it sounded close enough to be within swimming distance. My heart quickened against my chest. The three of us dashed towards the lake shore as we struggled to make out his words. You twats are at the end of your rope! Just turn yourselves in for fuck's sake! Oof! There was a sharp thud, as though Sissel had just been kicked in the stomach and fell down on a wooden surface. There was a low groan, like someone was nursing a painful bruise. The shrewd thug's hiss suddenly pierced the air. This little brat just doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut. He's lucky we need a hostage to keep the cops at bay. There was a long, drawn-out sigh. Marv, please tell me we're almost back on land. I can't see a thing through this damn fog. Yeah, bro, I think I can see the shore from here. We should be pretty far away from anywhere the cops would think to look for us. It'll be a long trek back to the city, but we should be able to slip away from here. Finally, some good news. Once we escape back to the city area, we best ditch this deadweight and flee to one of our safe houses. From the shore, Hershel, Ginny, and I exchanged alarmed looks. We have to act before they dock the boat. I'm gonna swim out there and get Sissel out. What? Are you crazy? You're a sitting duck in the open water. I should be fine in this thick fog, and I doubt those thugs can keep a steady hand in a rocking boat. I'll quietly grab Sissel and dive down in the water. Once we get just a couple feet away, we should be pretty safe. Pretty safe isn't exactly good enough, and Sissel isn't exactly a great swimmer. Hershel shot me a firm glare. It's safer than leaving Sissel in the hands of those murderers. He paused and smiled, placing a reassuring hand on my shoulder. I'll keep him safe. We'll both get out of this alive. I'll make sure of it. Ginny and I returned to stricken and worried looks for a moment before mustering up a brave smile. We're going to hold you to that. Hershel flashed a somber grin as he yanked off his shoes and waded into the ice-cold lake waters. Of course. Who else is going to paddle Sis back to dry land? For all his hot air, the boy is as buoyant as a rock. Sploosh. And with that, Hershel silently dove into the water and disappeared into the cold, dark surface. That, too, faded in the distance behind a blanket of gray fog. Oh. Okay. After a beat, I scurried forward and poured the contents of Bradley's flower vase into the lake. The wish dove into the water and resurfaced with a gentle splash. Already her skeletal form was slowly returning to its original size as she took in the lake's strength. Please, keep them safe. Through a forest of dark seaweed-like hair, Bradley nodded solemnly and slid underneath the lake's depths without a sound. The frigid water stung at every surface of Hershel's skin as he quietly paddled across the fog-covered lake towards the sound of the thug's murmurings. The fog had cleared up slightly, but it was still a struggle to see any further than a few feet in front of him. After a few minutes of swimming, he could make out the dark outline of a boat in the mist. Hey, bro, I think we made it! And I don't hear no sirens or cops either! They could still be nearby or hiding in the bushes. Be cautious. Hershel silently sucked in a deep breath and approached the boat from behind, hopefully out of sight. The two thugs were both standing and peering towards the shore, completely unaware of him poking his head out right mere inches away. His heart was pounding against his chest in anticipation as he glanced up. There he was. Sissel hunched over, clutching his bruised stomach with a hiss. An exhausted sigh escaped his throat as he stared out into the lake. He blinked. Boss? It was now or never. Hershel seized the edge of the rickety boat and yanked it with as much strength as he could muster. The boat swayed violently, and the two thugs let out startled shots as they scrambled to keep their balance. Sis, jump! Sissel shook himself out of his stupor and dove into the water without a second thought. Hershel grabbed him as they fell in, and he held his nephew steady at the surface. You came all the way out here? What were you thinking? Shh, you can tell me that later. Take a deep breath, sis. We're going for a swim. But I can't... Hershel's grip tightened around him as he flashed Sissel a reassuring smile. Hold on to me. I'll get us home safe. Sissel hesitated for a moment before nodding firmly, fully trusting his life into his uncle's hands. They both took a deep breath and dipped underneath the dark water's surface, quietly paddling their way towards the shore. Back on the boat, the thugs finally regained their footing and were beginning to chase after them. Hershel could hear the rapid beating of the boat's paddles behind them, along with frantic shouts. Several gunshots pierced the air, followed by sharp splashes of water, but the thick fog made it too difficult for them to land their shots. After a beat, Hershel and Sissel were forced to resurface, gasping for air before preparing to dip back into the water. Immediately, more gunshots rang out. The lake's surface around them erupted into fountains as the thugs struggled to shoot in their general direction. Hershel hissed and held Sissel close as he struggled towards the shore. Stay with me, sis. We're almost there. He heard a skipped beat. There was a light breeze in the air. The fog was starting to clear. They had to hurry. The boat took another gasp of air, darting back underwater, swimming as quickly as their exhausted limbs could carry them. He could hear the harsh paddling of the thugs' boat as they pursued hot on their heels. After another dozen feet of swimming, fatigue and the need for air took hold, forcing Hershel and Sissel to resurface. Panic immediately gripped Hershel's chest. The fog was thinning out to mere wisps across the lake. The thug could easily spot them in the water now. Hershel blinked through the haze of water and froze. The boat was rapidly approaching thanks to the burly thug's desperate paddling. The shrewd thug stood at the boat's helm, his gun trained directly at him with no fog to obscure his aim. They were cornered. Hershel? Get down! Hershel lunged at Sissel, wrapping his arms and body around him protectively as they both plunged under the water's surface. The lake's surface burst into geysers as gunfire rained down upon them. And then, nothing. Silence filled the air for several excruciating minutes as nothing moved save for the settling of the water's surface. Oh no! Suddenly, the lake's depths became stained with red. From the boat, Harry lowered his pistol with a satisfied sneer. We got him! The water's surface suddenly broke. Sissel gasped for air as he desperately tried to keep Hershel's limp body afloat. Boss! Boss! Stay with me! Come on, we're almost there! Even as he tried to stay positive, dread gripped at his churning gut. He was barely able to tread water with Hershel in tow while he was keeping his head above the surface. A sliver of hope suddenly filled his chest as Hershel let out a hacking grasp and coughed violently in his grip. There was still a fighting chance. They could still make it, but Sissel could barely swim. Shore was in view. It was so close, but his hope in reaching safety slowly dwindled as the thug's boat slowed to a stop in front of them. The shrewd thug's shadow loomed above, and there was a sharp click as he aimed his pistol at Sissel's head. Sissel's heart clenched painfully in his chest as he stared down the barrel of a gun. Show's over, kid. He squeezed his eyes shut. Silence. Then a gunshot rang out. There was a shriek of pain and panicked screaming, but he was still alive. Sissel blinked the water out of his eyes to see the shrewd thug kneeling over his boat, clutching his bruised hand. There was a sharp plop as his pistol fell over into the water. Was there a second shooter? Did they somehow shoot the gun out of the shrewd thug's grip? There was no time to stop and think about it. Sissel could hear Adrian shouting from the shore behind him. In the distance through the thinning fog, Adrian leaped into the water and waved frantically in his direction. Sissel had no idea what was happening, but this was his chance to escape while the thugs were distracted. He kicked into the water as hard as he could towards the shore, Hershel's limp body flailing in his grip. Bro, the kid's getting away! What the fuck are you waiting for? Go after him! The burly thug nodded and began rowing the boat towards Sissel's retreating figure. Oh, shit! But another two rapid gunshots suddenly pierced the air. Both thugs dropped to the floor of their boat, screaming as they clutched their legs. Blood poured out from the bullet wounds that formed cleanly at the base of their knees. Through the blanket of pain and panic, the shrewd thug lifted his head to scan across the lake. Where did these shots come from? They were too clean, too precise to be from a stray police officer. At this point, the fog had cleared out almost completely, revealing the far shore of the lake. His heart skipped a beat as his eyes fixed on a small figure across the entirety of Bradley Lake, laying low between the shrubbery. Oh, damn. Morse, you sly little... Bro, what's happening? Another gunshot pierced the air, narrowly missing the shrewd thug's head by mere inches. Stay down! Don't let him see you! Two thugs laid flat against the bottom of their boat, their hearts pounding painfully against their chests. In the distance, they could hear sharp splashes of water as Sissel finally made it towards the shore and was struggling to carry Hershel's limp body to dry land. Also, I don't think a little wooden boat is going to do anything against fucking gunshots. Coffee done. In the distance, they could hear sharp... Okay, I already did that. Both their bargaining chips gone, and their last pistol was somewhere at the bottom of the lake. Those kids will no doubt call the police to the location. They were far too injured to escape another chase. Things were truly hopeless. Bro, how are we going to get out of this one? Shut up and let me think. Uh-oh. Suddenly the sun was blotted out above them. The two thugs fell silent and still as they turned around to see a tall, dark figure leaping out the lake, casting a dark shadow over their helpless forms. Ooh. You pissed off the wrong lady. Bradley's dark figure rose out of the water, glaring down at them coldly. Both men froze, their eyes struggling to grasp what exactly they were seeing. But there was no doubt in the horror that gripped their chests as Bradley's skeletal hand reached out towards them. There was a sharp splash and a blood-curdling scream as their boat capsized and they were both dragged into the lake. Several long moments passed as the boat swayed gently to a stop on the water's surface. They did not resurface. I dashed across the shallow lake water just in time to catch Sissel in my arms as he collapsed with Hershel in tow. Sissel, are you hurt? He looked up at me, exhausted and shaken. In his grip was Hershel's unmoving body. A small fountain of dark red was pouring from his shoulder as he laid unresponsibly in Sissel's arms. Well, that's going to be nerve damage. He got hit protecting me. Let's hurry up and get him to dry land. It's just a shoulder wound, nothing vital. Shoulder wounds are still really fucking bad. Getting shot anywhere is bad. He should be fine. Yeah, he might lose sensation in his shoulder for the rest of his life. I tried to keep my voice steady and hide the wave of panic gnawing at my throat. It was true that the gun wound looked non-threatening, but Hershel seemed to have inhaled a lot of water. It didn't look like he was breathing. Alright, I'm gonna pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can, it always helps. Alright, until the next video, I love you all, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye!